Hey, I'm back with another video. It is 2:50 p.m. and it is Thursday afternoon, May 15th, smack dab in the middle of the month. So I got up this morning and kind of rearranged, like I said, the slides of the video I was making and did finish the narration of my first video. So now I'm just kind of doing editing and I'm trying to be really good when it comes to like the visuals and the visuals and stuff. And hopefully, as I get, gain momentum in making the other videos, that very video set, you know, um, those will come out well. I'm just kind of working along that. So this afternoon, okay, let me tell you what's going on with me. Okay, I was contacted. Actually, I contacted, I think it was Cal Action or Community Action or whatever, because I had this email saying that I can get help with my PG&E bill, right? And so, I usually don't like taking advantage of services, but right now I'm not working, I don't have an income, so I was like, okay, I might as well try to take advantage of this. Mind you, okay, this is how I use this sort of logic and reasoning. I have worked for many years, okay? I really don't have much to show for it, but I feel as though I have contributed to the system enough to where every once in a while, okay, I will choke back and say, okay, fine, I will accept a handout. So I applied for it, and they're helping me with this bill thing. Fine. Okay. So the representative, she was going the extra mile, which I do appreciate that because you don't usually have a lot of people who are thorough when they assist people who are in need, like me, right? So she was telling me that, I could go ahead and contact like the Department of what do you call that? The community, whatever, and get some sort of assistance. So I kept thinking, okay, I don't know much about those additional programs, but I said I will contact it because I need help right now. So I contacted them and I set an appointment. No, I didn't contact them. I think I got online to make the appointment. That's what happened. I got online to make the appointment. And so I got this, like, confirmation in the little inbox inside the email system or whatever that's built into it saying, okay, my appointment's this day. But see, what I usually wonder is with those is, are those appointments in person or are they in telephone? And so recalling back in my situations before, because I remember being on food stamps and stuff like that a while ago, right? Going back a while ago for like a formal interview, my interview was by phone, even though they had the address of the place listed, right? So I wanted to make sure because, this is how my mental set is right now. I am very highly filled with anxiety. Any sort of, social contact makes me extremely nervous. I do not like looking for jobs because of the harassment that goes on Indeed.com and all these other issues. Okay, so it's very difficult for me to look for work. Okay, so I have a lot of anxiety when it comes to being able to function. So if I have some sort of appointment one day, I want to make sure that I make that appointment. I do not miss it because it takes a lot of mental mind work to prepare for me to have a communication outside because this is the kind of trauma that these people have caused, right? So I have to get mentally prepared to have my appointment. So this earlier, I would say like around 1 o'clock, I'm like, okay, I got to get mentally prepared to talk to people, and I really don't feel like talking to anyone. So I got mentally prepared, okay? But let me tell you what happened a few days before that. Okay, I understand that there in the past there was times where like the county would be very quick when it comes to sending out their notifications, for what do you call it? A scheduling appointment meetup. So it seems like the very day that you talk to them, that they would send out a notification, and it almost seems like you would get it the very next day. And there has been times in the past that because the mail system was so expedient that I didn't get the notice, right? I mean, what would happen is I would pick up my mail a few days later, and then I would already say, oh my gosh, the notification was like marked the very same day that I spoke with them, right? So, I kept thinking, okay, because here's my mental state now. I do not want to miss appointments because I have to take a lot of time right now to mentally prepare myself for any sort of interaction because I find everything very disturbing because of my stalking. I was stalked before. I'm a victim of human trafficking. I really do not need any additional anxiety added to anything that I do. This is how I'm showing myself self-care. I cannot control what other people do, but all I know is I can control myself. So, before I have to end up speaking to somebody, I'm going to sit here and talk to myself, kind of soothe myself, get myself mentally prepared. It's a lot on me, okay? So, 1:30 rolls around and I didn't get a call, okay? But I was hoping I would get a letter in the mail confirming the appointment to let me know, to confirm that they want me to show up in person, or if this is, going to be a telephone call. So just after I got done talking to the representative today, after being on hold for a very long time, kind of swimming around, bouncing from like one phone line to another, I ended up talking to somebody, and she told me that the notification was mailed, and then she said that somebody had called and reached out and confirmed that I was aware of the appointment. Now, I'm going to say something. That's impossible because nobody reached out to me, okay? So I'm a little concerned about things because I know that I was stalked. I know that I've been a victim of, human trafficking, and I do know, okay, that because my biological mother, who has no rights over me, could have very well been like pretending that she was me, or maybe my twin sister or something, you know what I mean? Because at this point right now, I don't trust anybody, right? So I let the lady know that no, I have not spoken to anybody or whatever. So, I'm basically trying to get this whole appointment thing rescheduled, right? But I kept thinking, that if it was, like for example, it ended up being a appointment that I have to go into the office for, okay? But I was thinking, how I can relate to people why I feel customer service is really important, okay, and why other people should value other people's time. Now, in this case, it looks like, I don't know, number one, if somebody was tampering with my email, my account, with my benefit accounts, or anything like that. I have no idea. But see, I have every reason to feel suspicious. Why? Because of me knowing that I was a victim of human trafficking, me knowing that somebody was trying to financially exploit me. The very fact that they messed with my Patreon, how do you think that makes me feel? It makes me feel like I'm always being victimized, or there's always a possibility of being victimized. So when I hear, like, if I'm expecting a phone call from a specific agency, right, I expect them to keep their call. Otherwise, I keep thinking, okay, who is something being tampered? Is something being messed with? I cannot trust anyone. I cannot trust anyone. So when it comes to, like, places like Department of Human Services, or, any sort of these county type offices, okay, especially if you're dealing with people in emergencies, right, situations, and in this case, apparently it was an in-person meeting, but if you have the ability to call people, at a specific time, I always make sure, really, that if I have some sort of appointment with somebody, I'm right there on time. Right there on time. They don't need the additional stress. I don't need the additional stress. So now where I'm at with all this, right now, I'm waiting to hear back from them when my appointment is going to be rescheduled. Okay, and what I really wanted to do was get a actual date scheduled for my next appointment so that I can move on from the rest of the day. I find this whole situation to be anxiety inducing. Me having to interact with anybody outside of my home, because my home is the only place that makes me feel safe. So at this point, interacting with anybody makes me feel uncomfortable, makes me extremely jumpy. You know what I mean? So it's like, for people who have been victims of stalking, keeping your time, your schedule, or whatever makes people feel more comfortable, more at ease, because they know that nobody is trying to mess with them. Okay, especially after you've dealt with targeting. You know what I mean? It's and I don't believe that my request or my thought on this is out of line. You know why? Because people are supposed to offer customer service and be expedient anyway. Okay, but when you're dealing with these sort of situations, you know what I mean, putting people on hold, and she didn't put me on hold or anything like that, but this is just an example of, people who, it seems like they really need help when it comes to these sort of issues, and how to deal with people's trauma and issues relating to people who are in need of assistance or whatever. You know what I mean? I do not want, see, and now I have to sit here and get edgy about, is she going to, and I'm sure she will, but is she going to forward the message to my caseworker, to make sure I get an appointment right away? Because I want to know what time it is, so I can get prepared to go down there. You know what I mean? And when I do go down there, I want to go down there, take care of it, and come home, and do not have to reflect on anything that happened while I was there. This is how deep my trauma is.
Okay, so it's like I try, when I'm dealing with people, I just want them to be prompt and to the point, and I don't like drag on anything, because I have dealt with being stalked, having people invade my personal space, and now I feel like I can never trust anyone. That's just how it is, okay? But when it does come to these sort of county offices and stuff like that, and people who are offering assistance to people who might have dealt with, in my case, human trafficking. Although, I do not recall on the application me disclosing that information. And I also did notice that on the application, really on the bottom, okay, there's another form that I guess is a similar program to mine that's offered for people who are victims of human trafficking. So who's to say that maybe the stuff that I'm talking about is making a difference? But as far as like formulating it, how to service these sort of people, I will tell you, if I wasn't aware, okay, if I wasn't aware, and what I mean by aware is like, okay, I'm aware of the possibility that there's devil agents. There could be devil agents in the agency. See, this is why I'm saying, when you are gang stalked, you wonder, okay, did my caseworker, and in this case, I see that they mailed me something, okay, but you know, there could be a possibility that my caseworker is actually an agent for Diana Ross. Why wouldn't there be? She influenced a lot of the people in the community. So you see what I'm saying? I'm always wanting to make sure that I am nobody has, trying to mess with me. I have every reason to feel that way. Every reason to feel that way. So when you are dealing with somebody who's a victim of human trafficking, what needs to be said and understood is that they want you to be upfront, direct, and please be on time. Please be on time, okay? Because there's always a possibility in the back of their mind, and they're not dumb to think this, that somebody is trying to work something behind the scenes and they cannot feel trust. So in order to make people feel trust, to trust them and let them understand, I'm here to help you. If you're really a service provider, then make sure you keep your word, okay? Because what they need right now is that word integrity. That word integrity means more than anything at this moment, okay? And this is the truth. What else did I want to talk about? Um, Oh, I also want to talk about, when I was dealing with this particular group of people who were following, and so see, this is like the Rex Laverne, Diana Ross fusion thing, right? Okay, um, they had put a lot of people in this mindset of we need to go against Maria, and this is all about God and everything like this. I can assure you, well, we've been through all this and we've talked about it, okay. But see, I was dealing with a bunch of people, okay, that had an improper mindset, okay. When the more I think about this issue, the more vile it seems to me, and the more disrespectful of humanity in general, okay. Here we have number one, my biological mother, who, I don't even know her personally, never stood next to her that I can recall. I do not recall having any memories of her whatsoever. Okay, but I was raised by Mary and James Gordon. Okay, but apparently, she's going around while I was working places, causing harassment issues, along with this racist white man. And each person had their agenda. They had this agenda to sit here and try to mess with my career and question me, bully me, harass me, and make my life a living hell. Okay, so here's the thing. Okay, I personally believe that a family is a sacred. Should be a sacred connection. Okay, one of the most offensive things about this issue is the exploitation. Why? Because you are literally creating a problem or mocking somebody or intimidating somebody that you're supposed to be related to. Okay, I'm supposed to be the daughter that she gave up, and yet she's making some sort of exploitation out of me. That is very sick to begin with. Okay, so right there, it's inappropriate. It's inappropriate. Her behavior right there from the very beginning is inappropriate. To descend upon my life the way that she did. The part that's very offensive to me is how she felt entitled to manipulate my life and try to use me for financial means. Okay, I'm shocked. Okay, how she could not understand from the very get-go that this was some form of human slavery, and she should be ashamed of herself. Okay, but anyway, some of the mentality behind the people who were stalking me, who were harassing me or whatever. Like I said, a lot of this had to do with menticide. But The issue is that they take things that you do, anything that you do, they look at it as a form of, this is a competition, and it's not a competition. And see, this is what I'm trying to tell you. There are certain groups of people, and and when I'm talking about this, I'm not talking about just white people. It's the fueled mentality of the group in general. Okay, the mindset is that it becomes to the point where you cannot use reason or logic to it. Okay, because everything you say is like, hey, yeah. They just get like this. It's the momentum of the hysteria becomes out of control. Okay, so let's just say, for example, you go outside and you're in your flip flops. You're in your flip flops and you're watering your yard, right? They think that some people get it in their mind that that's a competition. So they're going to come out and they're going to water their yard, and then they're going to wear a different kind of flip flop or something like that. Okay, and what I'm trying to say is that there are certain things that they do that it's inappropriate. Okay, it's rude to use someone's life in that sort of manner, to hold my life back because they want to, see how I'm going to react to do this, or how they're going to bully me with this way. Here's a woman who's financially exploiting me and thinks it's okay to sit here and like somehow downgrade me, exploit me. You know what I mean? And then you wonder about the public who is looking in on this. And this could be the reason why there were so many YouTube videos talking about the chosen one and talking about this particular person, who I now understand is Diana Ross. But anyway, yeah, this is strange. I honestly do believe that, the family makeup should be one that is strong and does not downgrade family members, nor, and the other part that I mentioned yesterday was the fact that she was causing turmoil within the family unit by having my sister Tanya, supposed to be setting up to be my nemesis. Okay, that to me is immoral as well. Okay, that situation. Okay, these sort of like bringing war within the family structure, that's crazy. That is absolutely crazy. Okay, but whatever. So whatever the case is, I am terrorized by, number one, her behavior, her inhumane behavior, her inappropriate behavior, and what's even more shocking is the fact that she can convince other people to do it. Okay, and that's the fact that they use religion to fuel all this. But did they tell you the whole story? Did they tell you, okay, I was a clone? Did you understand that I was a clone? Which meant I have no reason, no control over me being here. That was just her saying, okay, you know what? Well, we're going to go ahead and have her come. They were going to comply. So, why? Because she probably, the whole burden baby thing, okay? No, I did not sin. I didn't sin. That is not a punishment in any way. That punishment was based on what a person's opinion was because we did not agree on the religion. On religion. You know what I mean? I'm King Solomon. Why would you expect me to agree with your view of religion? Okay, that it's idiotic. It's very idiotic. Okay, but this is the sort of barbaric stuff that went on, throughout the course of history, right? Anyway, so what else did I want to talk about? Like I said, it makes me very uncomfortable to have to interact with people in offices, in agencies, because I've known that I have dealt with, the infiltration, the illegal infiltration of certain things where they have no reason or right to touch my things. And this is what I'm talking about, and like I said, who's to say, the line was busy over at that office earlier, and this is the reason why this happened. And who's to say? Okay, but the thing is that, going forward, if you work in a service industry, okay, and you're dealing with somebody who is like a county office or something, you're dealing with somebody who is dealing with a devastating situation in the first place, okay. I've noticed that there's people that I've worked with in my past, like they don't respect time. They don't respect other people's time. Okay, I'm going to tell you why I believe it's important to keep your word when you schedule an appointment. Okay, let's just say I want to have some sort of occasion with the person who lives catty corner from me. Okay, so I'm trying to be considerate of her time. So I say, okay, I understand that she's got things to do. She probably has kids that she's watching out for or whatever. So I'm thinking, okay, her kids, she brings her kids home at 2:00, and she said we can meet at 2:30. Okay, So, there's times where people come in or they arrive late, and I'm not being considerate towards her time. Because while I'm sitting here being late, then that postpones our time to actually start the event and end the event, right? And as I'm ending the event, it might overlap with her time. You know what I mean? It's like if we agree on a time period, then I'm making and inconveniencing somebody else by being late. I'm inconveniencing somebody else by being late because she's saying, okay, I'm allotting this time from 2:30 to maybe 3 o'clock so that I can spend time with you, because I understand she's got other responsibilities, and whether she decides to explain what she has to do on her agenda or not, I'm respecting her personal time by showing up on time. And that also makes it so that I become somebody who's reliable to her, because she knows every time that we're going to schedule something, or if she ever had an emergency or something, she knows she can count on me because I've always had a consistent record of being on time. So I'm not inconveniencing her anyway, and I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to inconvenience her, and I'm not going to waste her time. You see what I'm saying? This is why, some people have a very lax view about, oh, I'm late, I'm late, but I have an issue with people being late, especially since I'm, number one, I always do everything on my own anyway. Okay, this is one of the reasons why, because I understand people drop the ball. They drop the ball. Okay, so this is one of the reasons why if I do not have to ask somebody to do something, I will do it myself. Guaranteed. Okay, people knew me growing up. They knew that, if I didn't have a ride somewhere, if I knew that this place was going to be open at 10 o'clock, then I guess I'd have to get up and start walking at 8 o'clock to make sure I get there on time. Yeah, that's how I've always been. Okay? And it's not about being a slave for somebody, and it's not saying that, oh, well, aren't you la la la. No, it's about being considerate. Because, I don't want to make anybody late or create any hardship on somebody. So if I tell somebody I'm going to be there on time, I'm not going to interfere with that. I'm going to make sure that I get there on time. And usually, I've always been known to be early, always early. Like when I was younger, I grew up believing that I need to respect other people's time. So I would try to make sure that I was there at least 5 minutes early. Why? Because I want to make sure that this person's at peace of mind. And one of the things I want is I always want to be thought of as reliable. Right? So anyway, but when it comes to things that are trauma response, things that, where people need help or something like that, I definitely think that it should be, something that people have some sort of expedient response to the urgent need. Okay, I understand like hotlines and stuff, they probably get inundated with phone calls and stuff like that, but I'm trying to get people to understand the importance of things like this. I'm trying to get people to understand things that are important like this. You know what I mean? I'm stressed out because, like I said, I am a targeted individual. Okay? I had people thinking that just because this person who I never met before, or thinking that, somebody that you might possibly be dating only by rumor only, could have access to your personal information. So I wanted to make sure that people don't do that. Okay? That's illegal. Okay, and so I have every reason to feel the way that I do. So now my nerves are on edge. I do not feel comfortable right now. I'm worried about, okay, are they going to really follow up? Is that girl competent in her job? Is she really going to follow up? Am I going to get an appointment today? I want to know the appointment today. I want to know it today so that I can put it in my memory bank, and I can have a normal functioning day tomorrow and the next day and the next day, and mentally prepare myself so when I have to go the next day. You know what I mean? I because I feel as though, this is one of the main reasons why it's important to be, on time in any way, in any profession, is because I don't ever want to be responsible for wasting anybody's time. I don't ever want to be responsible for being known to be inconsiderate. I always want to be looked upon, as somebody who is reliable. And unfortunately, I work with a lot of people who don't even care or even aware of those sort of things. Anyway, what else do you want to talk about? I think that's it. I didn't want to go too deeply about, any frustrations relating to my ex-family members. I think it's better for me to move on and not remember them. I think it's better for me to just try not to focus on or be overstimulated by that sort of stuff. And sometimes, it's like, I know I'll go onto like my email page and I might see a picture of like, one of these people that I'd rather not see. You know what I mean? I honestly don't like that. So I actually have a browser, I'm like change my browser so I don't have to look at that. You know what I mean? Because the thing is, I don't need to see things like relating to Diana Ross, or I don't need to see those things. You know what I mean? And see, I find it very sick that, Diana Ross was more involved in this experiment that was created by Nazis that then, she shouldn't have been in the first place. This is what makes it another issue that makes it so immoral. She's immoral for the entire world to see. You know what I mean? It's like, oh my God, and the sad, weirdest part is like, this whole thing is to me is extremely surreal. Okay. But I'm just like basically telling people, and this is one of the reasons why, nobody, I know that this particular group that was targeting me, they really do not, they resent me because this is one of the reasons why they were bullying me, is because they know that I strive to be, the best when it comes to working. And I'm going to tell you that, this is not a matter of competition. It's a matter of survival. And this is why it's so offensive that they thought it was okay to play games and make a big religious joke and spread this all over the place. And now it escalated into a nightmare. Okay. Is because, the thing is that, I am a single woman. I only have me to rely upon. Okay, so that means that I need to make a statement to employers that I am reliable, I am responsible, I'm on time. And this, people can, the thing is, it's important to have a blameless reputation when it comes to things relating to your profession. Why? Because I understand that, you could sit here and involve me or drag me into a issue of human trafficking, right? You can sit here and fire me with absolutely no reason and treat me like garbage like they have in the past, okay? But nobody can say that, number one, I wasted time. Number two, that I came in late. Number two, or three, I was taking advantage of my position as being Diana Ross's mother, daughter, or, whatever. Nobody can say any of that because I work hard. Because I am reliable, and I do offer a better, work package than the average person. Okay, so nobody can say that, oh, that I deserved it, because that's bullshit. I didn't deserve it. Okay, so anyway, is there anything else I want to say? Oh, okay, yeah, okay. I did get a message earlier about, the operation of my, hang on.
Maria speaking.
Oh, okay. Well, looks like they did call me and they confirmed, the time of my rescheduled appointment. I gotta say, I do appreciate that. You know what I mean? I didn't get a chance to thank her for that because, I really should. But I was just kind of startled to get a phone call. Anyway, so what else was I going to talk about?
I don't know what I was in the process of talking about. I was probably talking about,
Not. Oh, okay. The apparition of my father. I think I got this intuitive message that people were trying to like, compare, this miraculous issue, and then they were doing things, like being silly and doing stunts or something, I guess, whatever, in order to try to compete with this whole apparition that people can view. Here's the thing, like I said, I get tired, and this is the truth. I get tired of people who try to compete with me. Okay, and then also why I resent it so much is because some of these people try to act like they're my friends. Okay, and it's like, okay, I find the competition thing one thing that prevents me from wanting to feel closeness with people, because I am not here for a stepping stone to be for somebody. Okay, I'm not. As a matter of fact, I get very offended when you bring those sort of things into the equation. You know what I mean? I don't like it. Now, I know that this is usually initiated by people like my mom, my biological mother, who has no rights over me. But I don't want to do that. This is it disrupts my peace of mind. Okay, and I understand people like my father's apparition appears mainly because, number one, I believe it's to show that there is life after death. Okay, Number two, when I'm walking around, I don't sit here and think about, hey, I wonder if my dad's showing up or whatever. I don't think about that sort of stuff. But I do. I believe that my father is here, or I have apparitions and spirits that visit me for my protection. Like I said, and this is no, I mean, the royal family in Britain, they have bodyguards and stuff like that, and I don't have that. And I'm not saying that I should or deserve it or nothing. Okay, but I'm saying is that some people have bodyguards. Okay, there was a time when I was persecuted where everybody hated my fucking guts, and I will tell you, it was good to know that I had a spiritual guide to be with me, to protect me, because I will tell you, no one else took any effort to take care of me. So therefore, I have a spiritual protector, and I am not in any way ashamed of that. Okay, but it is not something that it's not about me saying, hey, look at me, and see, this is the problem with the people who targeted me and made it an issue of religion. Okay, I do not ever want to make a competition out of religion, because the whole underlying root of religion or spirituality, at least to me, is to have direct communication with the divine. And I don't ever, to me, it's like you're cheapening it. You are, it's almost like, what is the word? Blasphemous, kind of, in a way. It is what it is, okay? But it's not a competition, and people don't need to try to impress me or try to one-up me. What else do I want to say? Okay, there's a lot of people who want to see. I don't know if people are contacting me to put their stuff in the newsletter or not. I have not checked Facebook. Facebook is a source of anxiety for me. I did have people when I posted something about it on Facebook, I did request that people contact me by email. I think I provided an email address for that. I am going to be writing quite a lot in my newsletter. I'm looking forward to getting back to my project. Rearranging the slides on my project, but I will tell you, things like appointments, communicating with people, if you're a victim of human trafficking, certain agencies, okay, I just want to say this before I get off really quick, certain agencies or certain institutions, okay, they need to understand how to relate traumatizing issues, handle bullying issues and certain things in a certain way. And I think this is one of the main reasons why a lot of employers, like for example, if you're getting hired for the school system, or you're getting hired for like a nursery or preschool or any sort of thing that relates to kids or something like that, they do ask, they usually offer things like psychology within these certain, curriculums, like in college, so that when you do come out, hopefully you'll know how to communicate with kids, right? Well, I was watching this video about a girl who, had to deal with some sort of abuse, a domestic abuse within her household. And, I don't think that the counselor that she was assigned really knew how to handle the situation. And the counselor could have very well had good intentions, okay? It's just the way that she said it. And then she kind of came off as threatening to the child, like, look, you better tell us, okay, because we're going to find out. Because she wanted the daughter to talk about, the traumatizing situation of her, sexual encounter with somebody that she felt violated by, right? And the girl is feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm getting, this woman was inadvertently traumatizing her even more by the way that she was speaking to this girl. So there's ways of communicating with people who are victims of trauma. There's and there is issues of the tone of how you deal with people who experience trauma, and there's an issue of the expediency of people that are dealing with trauma. And I think they're all very important, okay? So anyway, I think that's important to remember. And I will go more into this in the video presentation. There's a lot of different sections that I'm trying to condense, because I understand, and this is not, like I said, I'm just letting you know and be aware of certain situations that you probably often thought about yourself. I'm just trying to offer solutions, okay? Anyway, I'm going to wrap this one up. Have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.